Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Steven Goes to the Movies. Today I went and saw Vox Lux, starring and produced by Jude Law and Natalie Portman, also produced by Sia, as well as 9 other people. You know, I know I'm no expert on movie making, but I've kind of seen a trend where the more producers you have on a film, the worse the film seems to end up being. And this movie was a mess. So to kind of try to summarize this movie, Natalie Portman plays the role of Celeste, who is a pop star in a downward spiral, as the synopsis for the movie would describe it as. Jude Law plays her longtime manager. There's really no other big name actors in the film, which isn't a problem. But the problem is that the trailer was very misleading, where I thought the whole movie was about Natalie Portman and this large story about her. But the first half of the movie, it's while she's a kid. She's 15 years old. And the first set of scenes is around a school shooting that's done in a very methodical way and has a lot of emotional impact, but was just strange for the fact that that's basically how they're opening the movie. I mean, there was a slight bit of home video footage of Celeste as a real young girl and a narration, and then it cuts right in to this sequence where it involves a bunch of teenagers in high school getting shot, including Celeste. And then that's kind of how she becomes famous, is because she writes a song about the tragedy, and then it does a montagey fast forward sequence with more narration, and it was just all over the place. And then we cut, then it ends her as at that age range. It ends with her at 16 sleeping with a guy who's in a band, and then the Twin Tower attack that we don't see, but she goes to her sister and is like, we need to call mom and dad because a plane just hit a building in New York. Then the narrator says about how her loss of innocence almost perfectly matches up with the loss of innocence of the country. And then it fast forward to the future, where now we've got Natalie Portman. But guess what? The first thing we don't see Natalie Portman. The first thing we see is a mass shooting of a beach. And that's how we open to the second half of the movie, with Natalie Portman in it now, as now Celeste is an adult. And it turns out that I guess she had a kid with that musician who at the time she said was an important figure in her life, but we never see again, and they reference only once in the dialogue. And it was so boring. Nothing happened. It had no weight or impact because this is a fictional character. The end of this movie, so the best way I can try to compare this is with Bohemian Rhapsody, which I'm sure you've all now seen. You know, it's about Freddie Mercury and his life. I saw it, and I did a review on it. I loved it. In this movie, it's almost pace for pace, kind of trying to match that, where it shows the start and the tragedy and how it develops and the spiral and and all that, and the comeback. But they even both have at the end of their movies a 10-minute sequence where it's just them playing their music, and you're supposed to feel like this is a big deal and a big moment, and they're all triumphant. When it's Freddie Mercury, and and they're playing the famous songs that we all know and love, it really works, even though that did feel like it wasn't needed in that movie. And then in this movie, it's a bunch of music we've never heard from someone we don't care about. And I was just like, why is this? Why? What is this? It's another neon film that doesn't know how to conclude. And it's so frustrating. You know, I love that they all have a female protagonist. You know, who's got a strong character and good acting abilities. But once again, it ends poorly, where it cuts to her daughter and her sister in the audience watching her performing in this big show. And it talks about how the narrator comes on and starts saying how when she was in the hospital, she admitted to her sister a deep, dark secret that no one else in the world knows about how when she got shot and she was in the place between death and life, she met the devil and made a deal with the devil to change the musical landscape, or change the way that future generations develop by becoming a musician who's influential, I guess. And then it cuts back to Natalie Portman on stage performing, and then it cuts back again to the sister and the daughter, who in that last shot were like looking very like everyone else around them is dancing, but they're just very like straightforward and, you know, not enjoying it. But then after the cut to Natalie and then the cut back, now they're smiling and they're bobbing their head and everything else. And then it cuts to Vox Lux, you know, in memory of, and the credits start rolling, and the credits are dead silent, which I get from, like, because the whole end of the movie was musical, so then to have it cut to nothing is a striking thing, and I understood it. But it just, that's how it ends. It just ends like that, and it's so frustrating. Another thing I have to say is when I saw Sia's name attached to the movie, I thought, oh, very cool. We're gonna get some really awesome music in it, maybe. I'm not sure. You know, it'll be about this kind of like pop starry figure, I guess. And even like if you Google Vox Lux, it'll be on lists of like the top 10 albums you have to listen to, and Vox Lux and this and that. But the music for the most part was boring and bland. There was no Sia in the music. There's maybe 2 songs in the whole movie that I would have been like, yeah, I would listen to that again. You know, versus something like A Star Is Born, where I could listen to that soundtrack all day, every day, and never get tired of it. This music was just whatever. I was just shocked that that's what came out of this creative process of like 12 producers, where one of them is a very creative and big pop star like Sia. And for the most part, all the acting from everyone was good. They did a weird New York accent for Celeste as a child, and then Natalie Portman herself, I think, even regretted doing that accent because it didn't quite work. So do I recommend this movie? I have to say no. I left this theater, about 2-hour long movie, feeling like I wasted my time. You know, if this ends up on Netflix, give it a watch, especially if you like Natalie Portman. Although she's only in half of the movie, you gotta remember that. But I can't say it's worth the price of a ticket, or if you've got Cinemia or Movie Pass and you only get 2-3 movies a month or whatever it is, this is not the one to be using it on. I'm still gonna say it. Go see Spider-Man. Go see Green Book. You know, these are really good movies that came out in the last 4 to 5 weeks. Or if it's Spider-Man, it came out yesterday. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, if you've seen it or not. What your thoughts are on it. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm seeing Aquaman later tonight, so I'll have another one out probably by the morning. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.